Most people never learn the power of disappearing because they're too busy begging to be seen, explaining themselves, defending their choices, chasing people who already decided they weren't worth staying for, typing paragraphs to people who reply with one word, showing up louder, hoping volume replaces value. And it never works. Because the more you chase, the more they run. The more you explain, the less they listen. The more you prove, the more they doubt. But you already knew that, didn't you? You felt it. That sinking feeling after sending a message you shouldn't have sent. That hollow ache of waiting for a reply that never came, or came cold. That exhaustion of performing your worth to people who should have seen it without a script. So, let me offer you something different. Something most people are too afraid to try. Disappear. Not forever. Not dramatically. Not with announcements or explanations or long texts about how you've changed. Just quietly. Stop initiating. Stop reaching. Stop filling silence that isn't yours to fill. Go ghost. Not from anger. Not from pettiness. Not to punish anyone. But because you finally understand something most people never will. Your absence is a message louder than any words you could ever say. Robert Greene wrote about power, real power, not the loud kind, not the kind that needs applause or validation, the kind that moves in silence, that doesn't announce, that doesn't threaten. It just withdraws and watches the room change. Think about it. The people who chase you hardest are the ones who feel you slipping away. The ones who take you for granted only wake up when you're gone. The love, the respect, the attention you begged for, it comes flooding back the moment they realize you stopped asking. But not because you manipulated them. Because you finally valued yourself enough to stop being available on demand. Here's the truth no one tells you about ghost mode. It's not about them. It's not a strategy to win someone back. It's not a game to make them jealous. It's not revenge wrapped in silence. It's about you. It's about choosing peace over chaos, stillness over spinning, self-respect over self-abandonment. It's about asking yourself a question you've avoided for too long. Why am I chasing people who aren't chasing me? And sitting with the answer, however uncomfortable it is. I've been there. Texting first. Every time. Making plans. Every time. Carrying friendships, relationships, connections that would have died the moment I stopped breathing life into them. And one day, I just stopped. Not with a speech, not with a fight. I just didn't reach out. Days passed. Then weeks. Some people noticed. Most didn't. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. The ones who reached back, they mattered. The ones who disappeared when I stopped performing, they gave me my answer. And the grief of that answer was cleaner than the exhaustion of pretending it wasn't true. Lao Tzu said something centuries ago that still cuts deep. He said the sage acts without action, speaks without words, and the world comes to them. That sounds mystical, but it's practical. When you stop chasing, you create space. Space for people to choose you, or reveal that they never would have. Space for your energy to return to you instead of bleeding out toward people who don't deserve it. You become a question mark instead of an exclamation point. And people can't ignore a question they don't know the answer to. Ghost mode isn't cold. It's not cruelty. It's not shutting down. It's radical self-selection. It's deciding, maybe for the first time, that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee, not an obligation, not something owed to everyone who once had access. You've given too much to too many. You've shown up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. You've explained yourself to people who weren't listening, just waiting for their turn to talk. And now, you're done. Not bitter, not broken, just clear. Think about who you've been chasing lately. The friend who never initiates, the partner who takes more than they give, the family member who only calls when they need something, the person you keep pouring into, hoping one day they'll pour back. What if you just stopped? What if you let the silence do the talking? What if you trusted that your absence would reveal more truth than your presence ever could? Here's what happens when you go ghost. First, you feel guilty because you've been trained to believe that love means availability, that good people stay accessible, that boundaries are selfish. But that's the old programming, the code written by people who benefited from your endless giving. Then you feel empty because you defined yourself by how much you could carry for others. And now your hands are free and you don't know what to do with them. But slowly, you feel something else. Power. Not the kind that controls, the kind that protects. The power of knowing your worth doesn't depend on who notices. The power of silence that speaks without shouting. The power of a man who stopped proving and started just being. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't owe anyone a reason for stepping back. You don't owe anyone access to your energy just because they once had it. Disappear if you need to. Let them wonder. Let them reach or reveal themselves by not reaching. Let your absence do what your presence couldn't. The world gets loud when you go quiet. And in that quiet, you finally hear yourself again. Not the version of you that was built to please. Not the version that performed for scraps of love. The real one. The one who was always there, waiting for you to stop drowning them out. Go ghost. Come home to yourself.